We settle ourselves this morning in preparation for Taizé, allowing the bell to carry us inward.
Good morning to all in the sanctuary and to those in cyberspace. We welcome you, and peace be with you always. It is a glorious day here in Redding with the beautiful skies and the snow-capped mountains, and spring is upon us, and we give thanks for the Great Spirit for all the manifestations of His creation. We offer gratitude for this sacred space and this time to deeply experience our connection with our essence and with one another. Take a breath. Breathe that in. And pray with me now as we release our worldly concerns, still our minds, our emotions, and our spirit, to connect deeply with the peaceful presence within. Let us immerse ourselves in the silence of the one infinite, eternal power I call God. The presence and the power of our lives. And not only are we in the presence of God, but we are also that divine presence itself. We are a unique, individualized expression of the One, in whose image and likeness we are created and endowed with intelligence, power, substance, and process. And we are worthy of all good, kindness, care, and respect. We express that presence as only we can, guided by divine wisdom, as the vessel for loving kindness as we give and receive without reservation to each other, to all creation, and to the very earth upon which we walk. Today, we come together generously listening with our ears, our hearts flung open wide, and are receptive as Reverend Diana shares her wisdom about the divine masculine within us. I know each one of us receives the right and perfect message to enrich the quality of our life and with one another. I am filled and at peace knowing all prayer is answered, and I close my prayer in faith with the utmost gratitude. It is done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Aho. Ashe. Satu.
Good morning. So good to have you all here this morning. If you're new with us online this morning, my name is Reverend Diana Johnson. I'm pastor and spiritual director for Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. We're an independent interfaith community that teaches universal principles and practical spirituality. We open our doors and welcome, trusting that you will be led. Mike's a little hot. Sorry. That you will be led to the guidance and wisdom of your own mystic heart. And so we begin this morning in musical prayer.
That's the one. Welcome home to your mystic heart. Lay aside whatever came before. Let your own intuition start to guide you through heaven's door. Welcome home to your mystic heart. Lay aside whatever came before. Let your own intuition start to guide you through heaven's door. Welcome home to your mystic heart. Lay aside whatever came before. Let your own intuition start to guide you through heaven's door. To guide you through heaven's door. I am remembering who I am. 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 I am remembering who I am.
So I invite you to relax more deeply into the truth of your being. Take a long, slow, cleansing breath in. And on the exhale, bring to awareness the peaceful, powerful presence of the sacred masculine. Feel its strength coursing through your body with every breath. Feel it bring you into active engagement with all that is occurring. Now feel the yielding presence of the sacred feminine. Feel its open receptivity as you prepare for the new life called forth by the transformation from winter to spring. Both energies are forever present. Both are required for new life to be born in you. Bringing full awareness to the movement of the breath, allowing it to ground you, recognizing that the breath connects us with everything else, to our fellow humans, and to all other creatures. We share the same life-giving air. The breath connects us to the plant life. We inhale what they have given, and they require what moves out as we release our breath. Breath is life. Life is breath. There are no barriers. There's nothing to separate us from life. Each of us is a life in process. Every creature, every plant and rock and grain of sand, every drop of water, all that exists, no matter how large or small, is an intricate and irreplaceable part of the one life. Take a moment to breathe in that sense of connection. Sensing our deep connection with all of life, we know it is time. It is time that we rise in awareness and in action. That we show up for one another and for our beautiful planet like we have never done before. To use the gifts that we've been given for the greater good of all beings. It is time to use our discerning minds to choose wholeness over woundedness, peace over violence, to choose love over hatred or indifference. It is time to use our power of imagination consciously to create the world we want to leave our children. The sacred masculine. The strong, active, supportive energy that lives within each of us. That within us gets things done. That brings about change. The force that moves life upward on the evolutionary spiral. It is this active principle that we call upon to move us from the current story of control and separation into the story of cooperation and unity. The time has come for change on a global scale. But in order for this change to occur, myths need to move. The stories we've been told about the way things work must be transformed. The predominant mythology that lies at the core of race consciousness in 2024 must be rewritten. And it is those who have awakened to the need for change that must rewrite it for the good of the whole. Because when our mythology becomes outdated, we become stuck. We cannot change until our stories change. It is believed that the last great shift in mythology happened during the Bronze Age, 3300 to 1200 BC. With the influx of Indo-Germanic tribes into the Mediterranean. And with that influx came the gradual shift from lunar goddess devotion to solarized hero worship. Nature reverence became nature domination. This was before the writing of our biblical scriptures, which have been a dominant mythology in our part of the world. By the time Genesis 1 and 2 were recorded, the Iron Age had already begun. Goddess creation stories had already been replaced by supreme male rulers that the ancient Hebrews, as they had Yahweh and Elohim. The Greeks had Zeus. Whether Yahweh, Elohim, Zeus, Jupiter, Mars, the mythology had shifted. This is how long global culture has been steeped in patriarchy. The energy of control, fear, lack, and separation. The shadow side of the sacred masculine. This is why the pull is so strong. This is why we must invite a power greater than myth, greater than story, to move through us now, to move through our thoughts, our words, and actions, to bring its mighty love, kindness, and compassion, to send its peaceful presence and clarity to our hearts and minds, to show us the way to harmonious coexistence with one another, with all creatures, with our planet. From Joseph Campbell. Mythology is not a lie. Mythology is poetry. It is metaphorical. It has been well said that mythology is the penultimate truth. Penultimate because the ultimate cannot be put into words. It is beyond words, beyond images, beyond that bounding rim of the Buddhist wheel of becoming. Mythology pitches the mind beyond that rim to what can be known, but not told. Let us consciously create a new mythology, right here, right now. Not only by our words, but by our actions. Let us heal the wounds that hold us back, both individually and collectively, so that we might bring sacred masculine into harmony with sacred feminine, neither overstepping in this cosmic dance.
When we were born, we entered life as a new character in a story that began ages ago. This story affected the way we were domesticated. What our parents, teachers, and people around us accepted as true seeped into us, shaping our emerging worldview, defining our role in the story. Later, we have some choice as to how we show up in the world, but our choices are unconsciously limited by the archetypes in our story and by how they were presented to us. We identify ourselves and others through these standards, but not everyone fits into the traditional paradigm. So let us contemplate the story that underlies our life. Where is it working for us? Where is it not? In our 3 minutes of sacred silence today, I invite you to ask your inner wisdom, what assumptions do I make based on my story? How might I change the story to align with my highest vision for the world? As we return our attention to this time and place, we give thanks for these moments of introspection and communion. Thanks for the parts of our story that still serve us, and for the courage and the imagination to to change the parts that are no longer appropriate for us. We open our hearts now to be transformed and renewed by the inspiration of Reverend Diana's continued message this morning, allowing all the shadows within us to be illuminated and letting our story evolve into an ever more empowering mythology. And with that, we wholeheartedly accept that even our own personal myths need to move.
I share with you now a mythical story of remembering. It is mythical, but it is not ancient. It is a modern creation myth. Use the vast power of your inner vision to picture the images as they're offered. Like all myths, this story points to truth. It may spark a memory in you. Once upon a time, source energy was all there was. It was ever present, everywhere. If I can liken it to anything, let's say it looked like the sun. And that sun's essence was pure, pure love. Countless rays of sunshine extended from this source. Each of these rays was unique, and each ray was loved immeasurably by Source, as each one was its creation, an extension of itself. It was the Source energy sharing itself that created these rays. Because Source was essentially pure love, so too were the rays, as they were extensions of Source's love. Pure and whole and brilliant. They extended out from Source to explore and experience and co-create. And as they did, they contributed to the expansion of the universe. Even though the rays were each individual, they knew themselves to be whole, complete, and one with their Creator at their core. And they lived in constant bliss. Then, as the rays explored further and further, deeper and deeper, they decided that they wanted to explore and play with what it would be like to be on their own, to be separate from Source. Even though this could never really happen in reality, because of what they were, they wanted to play with what it would be like to be their own creator, to be their own separate self. So they started dreaming and imagining, just like children do. The rays pretended to clothe themselves in a physical body, and they created an imaginary world where their bodies could roam around and explore and create and experience and play in the dream of separation. And it was fun for a while. But eventually, they completely forgot that they were just playing and dreaming and imagining. And eventually, they began to forget who they actually were and where they came from. They thought the dream they made was real. They thought they were actually separate from Source and from one another. They thought the world they had dreamed was all that there was. Entered the world of form through its rays, and together their creations were truly magnificent. The truth of this story resonates. there is only one source. Call it life, call it God, call it the force. By whatever name we call it, there is nothing else. I am. You are a ray, an extension, an expression, an emanation of the one source. We shine with the light of spirit. It seems we have forgotten at times. We think we are separate from one another and from source. By our free will, we have become lost. Our world shows all the signs of our forgetfulness. But it is never too late to wake up, to change direction, to choose to remember, to end the suffering, to go home. I shine my light so that I might be seen and uplifted by Spirit's messengers. Whether I call them angels, nature spirits, ancestors, or simply the loving thoughts of self-acceptance and worthiness that fill my heart and mind. Day by day I commit to making and confirming that decision, to be the light and to know the truth that sets me free. And so I dedicate myself and my life to love, to self-givingness, to the true power that binds us together, that warms our hearts, that brings clarity to our minds, harmony to our emotions, and joy to our spirits. I commit my actions to connection and healing. And our evolution continues along the spiral toward greater cooperation, unity, and love. Thank you, Spirit, for blessings too numerous to name. Those gifts that I would call beautiful, welcome, and graceful, and those that challenge me to grow in character, in resilience, and in faith. I walk in reverence, in deep humility and gratitude for your creation and for your powerful presence, wisdom, and guidance in my life. Thankful for all of it, I rest, knowing that my prayer is answered before it is spoken. And so it is. Amen. I invite you to come back from your journey as a ray. Notice the lovely faces of the beings that surround you, here in celebration with you in communion this morning. Good morning, family. Never forget that you have a support system here. Never hesitate to reach out if you need anything. We mean that. So as we close our Taizé this morning, we offer the opportunity for you to share of your financial abundance with our community, should you choose to do so. And if you are with us online today, you can go to mysticheart.org to find our donate button or our mailing address. We do thank you in advance for your gifts. They make this all possible. So we have Dalton with us this morning, as you've seen. And he's going to play us some music. Listen carefully to these lyrics.
There's a lot of them. Long before Muhammad, long before Lao Tzu, long before Moses, Confucius too, long before the Vedas, long before Zen, long before the dervishes started to spin, long before pharaohs, long before kings, long before Icarus donned his wings, long before heaven, long before hell, long before the walls of Jericho fell. Someone stood in front of a cave and said there's something going on that I can't see. Won't somebody come and explain a few things to me? Long before Athens, long before Rome, long before Ulysses ever left home, long before Abel, long before Cain, long before Noah and the endless rain, long before Adam, long before Eve, long before the people knew what to believe, long before Jesus, long before Job, long before the Buddha in his saffron robe. Someone stood in front of a cave and said there's something going on that I can't see. Won't somebody come and explain a few things to me? And the thunder rolled across the sky, and a rainbow appeared as if in reply, and he was standing on the threshold of a new frontier. And a sense of wonder rolled across his mind, and his footsteps like a drum were beating time, and he moved forward down that rhythm of a road that brought us here. From long before, from long before, from long before, from long before. Long before history, long before scribes, long before the Hebrews lost their tribes, long before Isis, Osiris, and Ra, long before Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahman, long before Athena, long before Zeus, long before Hermes and his radiant shoes, long before Neptune, long before Pan, long before the beast through the labyrinth ran. Someone stood in front of a cave and said there's something going on that I can't see. Won't somebody come and explain a few things to me? And we've been knocking since before the time before. We've been knocking on that ever wide and open door, and now we're standing on the threshold of a new frontier. And a sense of wonder rolls across our minds like a rainbow arcing back through time, and we are calling out a blessing on the ones that brought us here from long before, from long before, from long before, from long before, long before Adam, long before Eve, long before the people knew what to believe, long before Jesus, long before Job, long before the Buddha in his saffron robe.
Wow. Yay. Yes.
We thank you for these many gifts, knowing that they come from Source, but through your hands and your hearts and your lives and into this community so that they can be returned out, explored, expanded, exploded, and returned back out. So thank you so much. Exploded is good. It means they grow fast. That song is written by a friend of ours, Danny Barca, who lives on the coast. And I've always just loved that song.
That's an awesome song. Yes.
So I invite you, the local farmers market starts up again the first Saturday of April. And so getting ready for that and trying to encourage support for our farmers and our locals. And to remind you, we're still contributing now monthly, $25 a month to Farmers Footprint, just as a practice. I have a 2-minute reminder. It's going to take us 2 minutes over. So, but if you'd like to see, I have a 2-minute reminder for you from Farmers Footprint. Thanks for the reminder, James.
My name is Bjorn, and I've been with Farmers Footprint for the past 4 years as Associate Creative Director. I'm an artist, I'm a seeker, I'm a land steward, and I'm happy to be here. Okay, we got this out. For the past year, we've been working on a brand refresh for Farmers Footprint that encompasses our brand in a beautiful way. We feel like we've matured as an organization, so we wanted to share that visually with the world. Something that inspired questions to people, felt simple but powerful. I think the goal of the new website and the new refresh is to really inspire awe. I think what farmers do on a day-to-day basis is incredible, and I think telling their story and get more people to join in that awe is only going to create more magnetic energy that's going to lead to positive outcomes in the food system. I'm most excited for the editorial and humanist refresh of Farmers Footprint because it really centers and elevates the beauty and the power of the farmer. Personally, doing this work has inspired me to get my own hands deep in the soil and learn ways that I can grow nutritious food to benefit local communities, no matter how small of an impact it might feel like. We need all sizes of impact if we're going to create a real shift in the food system. Thanks for talking me into this.
Best for you. So feel free to grab a cup of something warm next door as you prepare maybe to return to our conversation at 10:30. But in closing, we wish you well this morning with our soul's blessing.
May your soul always find what it's looking for. May your heart always lead the way. May you live in peace and harmony. And may love always fill your day. May your path be strewn with happiness. May success find you everywhere. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayers. May your soul always find what it's looking for. May your heart always lead the way. May you live in peace and harmony, and may love always fill your day. May your path be strewn with happiness. May success find you everywhere. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayers. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayers.
Don't forget that our Easter basket raffle is going on. This is the last Sunday to buy tickets. Ellie has them. $2 each, or 6 for $10, or lucky 13 for $20. We have lists on all the baskets so you can see what are in them if you're interested. The last thing is we've had a new addition that's not in the bulletin. There's a flyer on the front door. March 21st, which is not the spring equinox, but 2 days later, We're having a spring equinox meditation here. It's a Thursday evening. It'll be led by Jill Matthews. She's a volunteer at the Interfaith group that we belong to, and she'll be here to lead us in an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll have refreshments and a little bit of celebration following. So I invite you if you're inclined. Have a beautiful Sunday. Hope to see you back at 10:30.
Use the bell
We
for
don't use
this.
the bell this time.
Never mind. Never mind. Well, we come together. and we're welcoming the new, the familiar, and the returning faces in here or out in cyberspace. So peace and harmony be with all of you. All right. Yeah. Pray with me now as we enter a conscious conversation with one another, with the source, knowing wherever we are, source is, and always expressing through us as us. We are guided by Reverend Diana to discuss her wisdom, as well as our own thoughts and feelings and experiences with the divine masculine residing in all of us. So I give thanks and gratitude for this time together, sharing from our authenticity, listening generously to one another with respect, reflecting, learning, and perhaps unlearning about our thoughts and attitudes of the divine masculine.
Right.
I am filled at peace, knowing our prayer is answered, and I close my prayer with the utmost gratitude, knowing it is done, and together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Unlearning.
That the truth.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome, and if you are new online with us today, I'm Diana Johnson. I'm the pastor and spiritual director for Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. We're a independent interfaith community. We teach universal principles and practical spirituality. And we open our doors and welcome, trusting that you will be led to the guidance and wisdom of your own mystic heart. We welcome Dalton this morning to lead our music, and so I invite you to stand if you wish. Dance, move around, sing, and here we go. Oh yeah, he boogies, huh?
Welcome to the Mystic Heart. Join the celebration. Raise your voice and sing your part. Make this affirmation. Spirits made us family with loving hearts to share. And together we are joyfully practicing the possible through prayer. Welcome to the Mystic Heart. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody in me. Everybody, get up on your feet now. See the light. Everybody in me. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound till we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound till we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 everybody, get up on your feet. Sing the light, everybody in me. You are the light of the world. Come shine the light all day and night. You are the light of the world. Come shine the light on me. We are the light of the world. Come shine our light with all our might. Yeah. We are the light of the world that shine for all to see. We are the light of the world that shine our light with all our might now. We are the light of the world that shine for all to see. I am the light of the world. I shine my light so clear and bright now. I am the light of the world. I'm shining bright and free. I am the light of the world. I shine my light so clear and bright now. I am the light of the world. I'm shining wild and free. I'm shining wild and free. I am shining wild and free.
If you'd like to remain standing, to invite the entire body into our practice this morning, feel free to do so. Fully engage in this vision of a love-soaked world. Know with me now that we're creating a world where all humans embody and live from their spiritual qualities. Love, kindness, generosity, compassion, justice, and freedom. From this way of being, I can feel the presence of a deep sense of joy. Allow your body to feel the joy that comes when all beings walk this sacred path of love. In this new world, all people honor and care for one another, for all of the forms, the life forms that share this planet with us, and for this beautiful planet that sustains all of us. We remember that we're connected to all of life, that we are dependent on the planet to sustain us and on one another. Being generous by our nature and living from that true nature, we give of ourselves freely, offering the gifts we came here to give. With all needs met for every being, each one is free to share time and talent in ways that feed the soul. The world is a happy place. By our every thought, word, and action, we're writing a new story in which all beings are well fed. Have the safety and comfort of home and a deep sense of belonging and purpose. We're so grateful that once and for all, health and education and healthy relationships are all supported by social systems that are grounded in integrity, compassion, and wholeness. We welcome this new way of living, valuing every being for its uniqueness. We practice living authentic lives. There's no need to defend or to protect. With love, generosity, and kindness guiding every human heart, our world is free of hatred and violence. We recognize the abundance that surrounds us. Giving and receiving flow freely in every direction to all beings. And all beings gratefully receive all that is needed to live physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually fulfilling lives. The planet and its beings thrive like never before as we learn to see the sacred in everyone and in everything. We walk in reverence and gratitude for all that we've been given. We maintain this vision day by day, moment by moment. We are not swayed by appearances. We are not swayed by appearances. Each of us works to align our actions with our vision, living these changes first in our own lives with our families and our friends and our neighbors, and a new world is being born. In this process of profound change, this community stands as an open and welcoming place for all who seek support, belonging, and family. By the power of our deep faith, this prayer is acted upon, answered even before it is spoken, as Spirit knows our heart's desire and intent. And in full expectation of its graceful unfolding, we release it to the creative power and intelligence that I call God. We release it to the one that gets it done, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen. Thank you. Bring it, bring it, bring it. Thank you for helping me shift this energy. I invite you to take that into your day every morning. You can find this prayer online if you're interested. So our theme this month is Sacred Masculine. It's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride. The topic of conversation this morning is myths need to move. So I'm going to give a really brief recap of Taizé. Kind of. Most of. We did a meditation. I won't be able to recap, but that's okay. We said that the sacred masculine is a strong and active, supportive energy that lives within each one of us. That it's what gets things done. It's the energy that moves us into action, gets things done, brings about change. It's the force that moves life upward on the evolutionary spiral. It's the active force. So if it is this active principle that we must call upon to move us from the current, not if, it is this active principle that we must call upon to move us from the current story of control and separation into the story of cooperation and unity. The time has come for change on a global scale. But in order for this change to occur, myths need to move. The predominant mythology that lies at the core of race consciousness in this year of 2024 must be rewritten. And it is those who have awakened to the need for change that must do the rewriting. Aren't you glad to be included?
You got a sharp pencil?
There's a cup of pens over there on the bookshelf.
I've got the notebooks over
There you go. Did you know that we talked about this as well in Taizé, that the last big shift in mythology happened during the Bronze Age? Bronze Age. That's a minute ago,
Yeah.
okay? 3300 to 1200 BC, or BCE, depending on which you prefer. That's when the gradual shift from lunar goddess devotion to solarized hero worship occurred in that time period. Nature reverence became nature domination during that time period. The energy of control, fear, lack, and separation, the shadow side of the sacred masculine, came into effect during that time. And we talked about how the biblical stories and traditions that sort of govern our culture in this part of the world didn't happen till the Iron Age. So this was after this whole shift had happened. That's why the pull is so strong in the race consciousness, because it's been a long, long time. Then we did a really cool meditation using a modern day myth as our guide, and if you missed out and you're interested, you can pull that up on the video. So last week we talked a little bit about imagination and how it's much more powerful than even we know, that we're using it all the time, consciously or unconsciously. Okay, file that. I'll come back to that in a moment. So now, my first question for today, after all that, is, what are some of the most powerful myths that have impacted your life?
that when I grew up, I should meet a man, marry him, he'd be my boss, and he'd take care of me. That was a big one.
Okay, when you
Ouch.
grow up, meet a man, get married, he'll be your boss and take care of you. That's a myth.
I know.
Nothing meant by that.
Too late.
Too late. Michael,
I'm only human.
I'm only human. That's not true. Divine being, human experience. Lucinda?
All love comes from the outside.
All love comes from the outside.
I can only be successful if I work hard.
I can only be successful if I work hard. David?
The earth is flat.
The earth is flat. That must really impact you at this point.
Flat Earth Society has members all over the globe.
It's true. Flat Earth Society has members all over the globe. That's funny. I know.
Oh, I just got
Took
it.
a minute. Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, that is funny.
So are there any other kinds of oh, did you have?
No,
yeah?
I was just stretching out.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Are there any other kinds of stories other than, I mean, these are all mythological things, but are there other types of stories that have impacted us in our upbringing?
Yeah, only Jesus can get us to heaven, and if you don't, you go to hell.
Okay, only Jesus can get you to heaven, and if you don't believe in that, you're going to hell. Yeah? Okay.
Well, even farther back, you mentioned the creation stories in
Okay.
Genesis, and the idea that we could somehow be separate from our source.
Right.
I think that is what drives the whole mess.
Okay, so the creation stories and the stories of separation. And it isn't just the creation stories in the Bible
No.
that have separation, creator from creation. So many of the creation stories drive that separation.
Forgiveness can only come from the outside, so that in my upbringing, forgiveness, you had to go to the priest to confess, and then you were forgiven.
Okay, so forgiveness comes from the outside, maybe through the priest who takes it to God, and then you can be forgiven. What about, in general as a category, what about fairy tales?
Prince Charming,
Oh, Prince Charming, who's that?
the person that's supposed to get married to and take care of you.
Hey, Prince Charming, he was a popular guy in the fairy tales I heard.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, yeah. So, what is the male image in those fairy tales?
The rescuer,
The rescuer,
provider,
provider, hero. And what would that hero do if necessary?
slay a
Protect
dragon.
Slay a dragon.
And
Yeah,
he's always kind of violent.
kind of violent, kind of I mean, you know, he can be charming. Oh, what was that? Oh, never mind, we won't. Into the woods. Never mind.
Yes, I was raised to be charming, not sincere.
I was raised to be charming, not sincere. It's
Yes,
from a
that's a
play.
good joke.
There was one fairy tale where the woman was the hero, and that was the Frog Prince.
That's true, the Frog Prince.
Which was created much more recently than any of the fairy tales
Yes,
that we've
it was.
otherwise.
So yeah, the myths, the mythological stories going way back in time, the fairy tales that are more recent, but still, we all probably grew up with some versions of those. Those all have an impact on us as we grow up and on what we expect out of life. Is there evidence of sacred masculine in our cultural stories? What is sacred? Let's go back and remember, what is sacred masculine?
I think Jesus was a sacred masculine.
Okay, so we have the example of Jesus as sacred masculine. I would agree with you. And next week, we're going to go into rewilding Jesus. So anyway,
And the
back
Buddha.
to this week. And the Buddha, okay, was an example of sacred masculine.
I think the idea of maybe like a, for lack of a better word, like a protector or a
Okay.
defender, maybe.
All right, so an image that would be defender and protector, and being able to do that in a peaceful, strong, powerful, peaceful, respectful way without the need for violence. One whose analytical brain could work through, discern what's happening to the point where there could be a way without violence.
That brings Martin Luther King and Mohandas Gandhi into the picture.
Okay? So the
Not that there
Gandhis,
wasn't violence around them, but
Around
they
them.
did not return
Right.
violence.
yes, Thich Nhat Hanh, definitely.
Kind of in a different vein, Johnny Appleseed.
Johnny Appleseed, oh, one of my favorites, of course.
Spread them seeds.
Spread those seeds. Yeah. So we have a few examples, but are they the rule or are they the exception?
Exception.
They're definitely the exception, and they draw our attention when we see them, but they aren't the rule. They haven't been the rule up until now. They haven't been the rule. Are the qualities of taking peaceful action and respectfully setting boundaries prevalent in our stories, in our myths, the stories that our children are still growing up with?
Always a battle for justice.
Okay? So it's, even in our culture's language, we have war on everything. What kind of wars do we wage?
On drugs.
War on drugs.
Culture wars.
Culture wars.
War on poverty.
War on poverty.
Race wars. And even nature.
And war on nature. We have to dominate nature.
Economic,
Ec-
health. There's
Okay,
all sorts
so
of wars that
wars
go
on health, wars, yeah. That's our language.
We also,
Territory.
Territory,
we say, I'm fighting a cold.
I'm fighting a cold.
Yeah, wars on disease in general.
Wars on disease. Yeah, we seem to want to fight everything. Our language points to that anyway.
So that seems to be the only thing we haven't realized is our words are so powerful that as long as we're warring something, this negative energy is going out against it.
Yes. Our words are powerful, and those words represent how we think
Yeah.
and how we intend, how we feel. You know, why fight a cold? You know, it came to pass.
boxing
Just
gloves.
let it move on through, you know? Let it go. Let it move through.
We got a thing with competition.
Competition. Yeah.
All sports is competition.
All sports is competition.
The winner takes all.
Winner takes all.
What if we think about changing fighting with living with, and that is cooperation? If you think about it, you cooperate with what is there, and then you have more power
Right.
to transform.
Yeah. So what would it look like to cooperate with a cold?
Just allow it to take over and do its thing and then let it go.
Okay. Would you have, but cooperation implies too, what would you be doing while you're letting it move through,
Resting.
resting,
Drinking water.
drinking water,
Not taking a lot of drugs.
not taking a lot of drugs that are gonna cause you to think you can do more than you really should be doing.
Right.
Sending love to your body.
Sending love to your body.
Eating food.
Eating food, healthy food.
Chicken soup.
Or fasting.
Chicken soup, or not eating food and fasting, depending on what your body's calling you to do. Attending to your own needs.
Being awake to what you.
Yes, being awake to what your body's calling you. Why is this cold here to begin with? Well, what does your body need to come back into? Yeah, so
Yes.
cooperation. So the fact that we have very few examples of sacred masculine, peaceful action, respectfully setting boundaries prevalent has effects. What effects does it have on our households?
Stress,
Stress,
pressure,
pressure,
Chaos.
chaos,
animosities.
animosity.
You know.
Sound like a guy that might be working with
No, I'm joking.
And also, it also makes macho the default setting for,
Right.
for boy children.
Yeah, so the tendency is there's this macho default setting for male children because that's the cultural expectation. And unless you have a family that runs interference with that in some way, and even if you do, you're going to take on a lot of that. What effects is it having on our communities?
Chaos.
Chaos.
Animosity.
Animosity.
Polarization.
Polarization.
Toilet paper shortages.
Toilet paper shortage. Give me five to whoever that was. That was Heidi.
Redneck politicians.
Oh, gosh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're
I don't want
defining
to say
it,
that
huh?
word, but yes, political polarization.
There you go.
Yeah,
Glass ceilings for women, not
okay.
rising to the top.
Glass ceilings for women, not being allowed to rise.
Actually, glass ceilings for black and brown people. as
For
well.
Glass
many
ceilings.
minorities.
Yeah, glass ceilings for any and all minorities.
Marginalized,
Yeah,
yeah. And just systemic inequality.
systemic inequality. Yeah. So then taking that out, we can say it's not just affecting our households and our communities, it's affecting our world
Yep.
in much those same ways, right?
Big time.
We want things to be different, right?
Yeah.
Don't we? How does the imagination come into the picture from last week? Bringing back imagination.
Well, that's our primary tool for creating something that's not in existence yet.
Okay? Primary tool for creating something that's not yet in existence.
What's that quote you like to quote, the one where we're afraid that we're more powerful than...
Oh, yes, Marianne Williamson. Yeah, we're afraid
Yay.
not so much of our weakness, but of our strength and our power.
Yep.
So if we used our imagination with intention, with focus,
Yeah.
with attending, with awareness.
Consciously using imagination.
That thing you just said.
Yes, David.
Be the change you wish to see.
Be the change. Be, that means doing something, right? It's an active
Act.
thing. Yeah.
Well, we need to be careful there, though, because that can easily flip back over
It
into
can.
violence.
Yes. Being the change you wish to see, you have to be sure that you're really standing in that peaceful, powerful, respectful presence.
Compassionate.
Compassionate, loving.
Yeah, so many times we've seen a revolution, and then the cruel dictatorship gets overthrown, only to be replaced by a new cruel dictatorship.
Right. Yeah.
Meet the new boss, same as
The gospel according to
The new
Pete
boss
Townsend.
thing.
Old story.
Yes. So anyone in this room familiar, and I know at least one or two are, familiar with the term imaginal realm? Okay. So what is the imaginal realm?
I am reminded of the imaginal cells that bring about a butterfly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can compare them to the imaginal cells that bring about a butterfly, or the journey of the dragonfly.
Dragonfly.
Or so
Yeah.
last, yeah,
It's a long journey.
it is.
I've heard it described as the tidewater, where this world and spirit kind of mix together and begin to work together. And
Okay.
interchange and feed each other.
All right, so that place where this world of form and the spirit world come together and begin that dance of creation.
That liminal space between the two.
Okay, so the liminal space between the two, the world of form and the world of spirit.
Well, doesn't that describe faith then?
Okay.
The idea of the hope, the imagination of something, and
Mhm.
the faith to bring it about.
Yeah, faith would empower that imaginal realm, for sure.
That's a quantum field.
Could be seen as a quantum field.
I think it's
Yeah.
also when people see a spirit of somebody that's passed on, I think that's happening in the imaginal realm.
Okay.
For me, that's what makes sense.
Could be the realm where those who are still here in form and those who have gone on to back on, whichever, to spirit, come together, can come together. I looked up a couple of formal definitions. It says it is where spiritual realities can be seen in visionary experience. One way to talk about it. Where abstract meanings can take on abstract form. It's where we can experience the meaning, the depth, and the essence of the material world. It's a meeting ground, and this is what you were talking about, a place of active exchange between two bandwidths of reality. So New Thought had a way of talking about this, and still does probably. They talk about it as being a place in the mind of God, spirit, or the universe, where the prayer has already, or is in the process of being answered. They talk about the place where possibility is becoming reality. Reality in terms of relative form reality. Before it's actually happened in our experience. So it's that transitional place.
Field of possibility.
The field of possibility. So last week we accepted the power of imagination as much more than visualizing an outcome. We called it the Christ consciousness working within us. We acknowledged its power at that level. So when I join you in envisioning a love-soaked world, I make the conscious choice to practice with as much feeling, with as many of my senses as I can arouse, the vision of a world where every word I'm speaking is already occurring in experience and has been occurring in experience for quite some time.
Yay.
I create in the imaginal realm a world in which kindness and generosity and cooperation and peace prevail. I trust that Spirit has granted me this vision. So if Spirit's granted the vision, it's so that I can join in its joyful creation. Spirit is moving in this direction and has given me the opportunity to join in that dance. And so I use this power of imagination, trusting in this imaginal realm where this is already occurring. I call on Great Spirit to further empower my imaginings. I invite infinite wisdom to guide and strengthen my vision. I ask to be shown a life where the original goodness of humanity is shining through the darkness. And then, as I said last week, when I'm done with my practice, I get up and I live as though it is so. I practice. So it's not only for myself that I'm tasked with healing any trauma that might still be alive in me. It is for the whole. It's for global healing, and it's a gift that I offer to the creation, all of creation. So, now, am I saying that life at the other side of this transformation holds no more challenges? Because what fun is that? Right? Is that what it means?
No.
What does it mean then? What? what would the challenges be?
Well, we're not there yet, but I would just see it, that would just be getting past a milestone of evolution.
Okay.
But we're never gonna evolve into all of God. As an individual human, I can't evolve into all of God, so there will be more evolution to happen. I don't
Okay.
know what that's gonna look like.
All right.
More creation of things we haven't seen yet.
More creation of things we haven't
Yeah.
seen yet.
Manifest.
Yeah, manifest. What else? You guys are gonna have an easy life, I'll tell you. Sounds like.
There'll be challenges and sorrows along the way.
And why is that?
Because when change happens, things have to be let go of, and sometimes letting go is very painful.
All right, but I'm talking the other end of all of that. Remember, this has been going on a long time now. We've been in peace for centuries. Yet there are challenges. What are the challenges?
To
Not for-
awaken.
Is your hand up, Lucy? Okay.
Well, I'm thinking becoming the next, my next yet to be.
Becoming my own next yet to be, whatever that is, for me personally.
Yeah.
Brenda?
I was just gonna say health challenges that
Okay.
you have to overcome.
We may still have to overcome health challenges. We didn't say that all of that would just vanish. We're not talking magic here. David?
Well, I kind of think that we come with a soul contract, that we're here to work through things that actually might mean that you have a more difficult life because you're going through these processes that awaken you. So if nothing is challenging, nothing awakens you any further.
Okay.
So it seems like we choose that we want some of the, and some are very painful experiences, but
Okay. So there is the belief that we arrive here having made agreements and that we will still be held to those agreements along the way.
Ashley raised her hand.
Thank you. Aquarius, sorry. Ashley.
I would say that with each leveling up and coming to a newfound peace requires a whole different understanding of looking at everything from this newfound peaceful spot. And in that peace, you may find that some of the things no longer fit once you've leveled up.
Okay, so with the leveling up, you can feel uncomfortable with that. And you may have to adjust, and those might be uncomfortable.
I think after centuries of living in a love-soaked world, we still have to be attentive so that we don't forget who we are, like in your story of the rays.
Yes.
I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is to not go back to sleep, not
Okay.
forget.
So we're talking that we're still human, right? Our humanity hasn't gone away. We still have emotions. We still have relationships to navigate. We still have physical bodies to care for and to attend to. We still have all the human stuff, our perspectives, maybe we've broadened them, but we have a unique one and it might not align with others. And so the peace is more about how we navigate as humans, but it doesn't get rid of our humanity. And so challenge is a way of life for human beings. It's not the only way of life, but we cycle in and out of challenge, and it's just part of who we are. So that, I believe that will never probably leave unless we want to evolve out of being human beings. And maybe we'll do that someday too, who knows?
yes.
It sounds like maybe we
I think-
always need a catalyst to keep moving upward on the evolutionary cycle chain.
So we require a catalyst to keep us moving and growing up that evolutionary spiral.
I think it would be theoretically possible for a human being to always dance at the front edge of his or her evolution and spiritual evolution, and probably not have those challenges arise. But most of us don't. I certainly don't do that, and so challenges arise as a reminder that I need to. So this is my challenge.
Right. And if you are dancing at the cutting edge of your own evolution, then it seems to me there might be the challenge of calling forth your courage and your strength to do that. You know, you might not have other kinds of challenges, but the challenge of saying yes as you feel drawn out to the edge, and then the challenge of taking a leap when there's nothing to land on, those are challenges too.
Yeah, you lost me there for a minute, right up until you said that. Now I'm back on track with you.
Okay. Got it. Good.
Don't get lost.
I trust that there's going to be plenty of work to do in loving our neighbors.
Yay.
Even after centuries. I trust that there will be work to do in maintaining our good relationships. It'll still come through our hands and our hearts and our words. We'll just be a lot more skillful at it than we are currently. So last week I said that living from our wholeness in a world healed of its trauma is a choice. It's our choice. And it's our responsibility. And I'm repeating this because I feel like it's important. It's not just a choice and a responsibility, but it's an honor and a privilege. It's a delight as we relax. Let go of all of the mind chatter as much as we can around why it isn't working, can't work, will never work, things aren't changing, you know, all of that, right? Letting go of all of that. So I just don't think there's any better way to spend a lifetime. That's all. There's nothing I can see as more important than that. And you may differ in opinion, and that's fine too. James?
I'd like to see, or I hope that we as a species are capable of not requiring a catalyst.
Yes.
And making a choice.
Yes.
To come from a place of intention.
Somebody agrees with you.
Yeah.
That was God speaking.
Yeah, God speaking. You're on, he says. It says, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Place of intention. Otherwise, if we're reacting, really, a catalyst is like we're reacting to that thing.
So
that's how I feel. Like I'm reacting to something like that.
So will it still be, for you, will it still be a catalyst if that catalyst comes internally? Like an internal motivation to move, to do, to change, rather than requiring an outside. Is that still a
it's
catalyst?
Still a catalyst, I suppose, yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah. I guess from inside, so I feel like it's still, feels like an element of intention inside, a call.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it's still a catalyst.
So that we shift it from requiring an external motivator or catalyst.
Preach it, woman.
To allowing listening to our internal motivation, allowing our own pure motivation, spirit motivation to come through us.
I guess I'm kind of drawn to the idea of peace in this process. It's kind of like it seems like there needs to be the idea that I am moving into something because I'm at peace with it versus I'm being forced, or I'm being there's something that's driving me that is kind of from the outside, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like this internal peace, and I think of, again, I always think of Jesus' words, and you know, he says, "Blessed are the peacemakers,"
right?
And that because they will be children of God. So the idea that God is a peacemaker because then his children are peacemakers, and that peacemaking is especially in me, in myself.
That's the only way peace can come into the world, is as each one of us individually touches that peace and brings it forward. So allowing the peace to be our motivation, if you will, our moving quality.
Is that moving quality facilitated by an acceptance of what is, being able to be with that peacefully?
Right. Coming to peace with what is. Yes, I believe so. As long as we're battling what is, there can't be
Right.
peace within us or in the world.
I think we need to build back into our culture and our traditions of teaching people of the aspect of going within and making that okay.
Yes.
Making it okay to express emotions in any
Right.
space, and realizing that they're coming to us to be that catalyst, to give us that intention. And the more that we, don't support that as a society, the more that it encourages us to disconnect and not remember who we are.
Yes. So we just need to grant the permission that we're humans. We carry emotions. We express emotions. We need to feel free to bring all of ourselves into our relationships. Is there anything else that wishes to be spoken around this topic this morning?
You said something in the meditation part where God gave us free will, granted free will to all the rays. And that free will allowed us to make choices and go deeper and further. But God wasn't fearful because that free will would also bring us back. So it was an interesting how free will takes us out and brings us back.
Yeah, we did a meditation this morning that it was a modern day myth. And it was that in the beginning there was source. Each of us is a ray emanating from, extending from source, and granted free will. And in having our free will, we lost our way and eventually found our way back. And that God, source, was not concerned about our losing our way. Wasn't worried about it. Trusted that we are what we are. And so there's no way we can actually be lost or broken or missing.
Never separated.
Never actually separated. So ultimately, we find our way back.
I think that's one of the most useful things that I've discovered lately is that spiritual law or karma, however you want to call that, is a self-correcting device. It's to get us back on track. We're not punished for our sins, but we're punished by our sins, if you will. When we get out of alignment, life gets hard, and I think it's source trying to get us back on track. Because when we're back on track, it feels better.
It does feel better, for sure. Anything else that wants to be shared before we pray our way to the closing this morning?
I just wanted to say that we talk about myths, and I think that generally people think of a myth as something that's not true.
Right.
But myth is actually a very powerful way of telling us the truth.
Yes.
In a way that we can understand.
Yeah,
So,
a myth is a story that points to truth. Yeah.
Points to the truth that can't be couched in words.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so next week we're going to look at, Easter's coming up, and next Sunday is Palm Sunday, and we're going to be looking at rewilding Jesus. So that's going to be a fun week for me, and hopefully a fun week for you next week. But in this sacred moment, I close grounding us in prayer. I call upon a power greater than myth, creator of all myth, greater than story, to move us to move us forward, to move through us as we take the next steps in the journey that we call life. We invite Spirit to move through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. We invite Spirit to bring its mighty love and compassion, kindness and generosity, to send its peaceful presence and clarity to our hearts and our minds, to show us the way to harmonious coexistence with one another, with all creatures, with our planet. Infinite source of all that is, we feel your presence in this place. In our hearts, in our minds, in our bodies. We know that your infinite power and wisdom are always working for the good of all, moving through and as each one of us in every moment we forget. And then we remember. And then we forget. And then we remember. Spirit brings us back every time. So we trust in the power of imagination and hold it as sacred. We accept it as a gift of Spirit and allow it to empower our lives. We use this power wisely, grateful that we've been entrusted with such a blessing. We know that by this power we're transforming our lives and our world, giving thanks for the abundance of the earth and the abundance and sustenance that it offers to our lives. We hospice all that no longer serves, allowing it to melt into distant memory. We serve as midwife to the new life that awaits us. Thank you, Spirit, for your sacred trust and for blessings too numerous to name. Those gifts that we would welcome as beautiful and graceful, and those that challenge us to grow in our character, in our resilience, in our faith, in our own light. With reverence, humility, and deep gratitude, I give thanks for this time of heartfelt connection. And letting go, I rest, trusting and knowing that my prayer is already answered. As together we say, and so it is. Amen. This has been a really fun month. Really fun. So I invite you to join in the celebration of this work that we're doing in the world by offering of your financial good, should you choose to. And if you're at home, you can go to mysticheart.org. You'll find a donate button or a mailing address. And so as we move into this time, we welcome Dalton back up. And don't hesitate if you feel moved to get up and move a bit, because you might.
You gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move, child, you gotta move. When the Lord is ready, you gotta move. You may be high, you may be low, you may be rich, child, you may be poor. When the Lord is ready, you gotta move. You gotta move. You gotta move. You gotta move, child. You got to move. When the Lord is ready, You gotta move that place. They put old Daniel in the lion's den. He did not worry, no. His God was his friend when the Lord was there. You gotta move, yeah. You gotta move. You gotta move. You gotta move, child. You gotta move. When the Lord is there. You gotta move. Sing along with me. When the Lord is there, you gotta move. Oh no. When the Lord is ready, you gotta move.
Okay, I offer gratitude for your presence, for your love, your talent, treasure, and time, and devotion to this community. These gifts we receive, and you can trust that we will be good stewards of your money to do good for our community in terms of classes and so forth, and extending outward into the community, such as Farmers Footprint and the Good News Gospel, was that
Rescue Mission.
Rescue Mission, and whatever. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oops. Yeah, we're doing it. I just forgot.
Oh, that's right. 1 second. I'm sorry. Yep, I changed the order on things. Because I want to bring back another 2-minute video to remind us all that the farmers market is starting up the last Saturday of April. I mean, the first Saturday, thank you.
It
See?
takes a village.
It takes a village. The first Saturday of April. And I just want to remind us to support local and do our best to help the planet. So here we go. Farmers Footprint.
Getting the masses switched from conventional ag to regenerative ag, it's a paradigm shift, and it's got to start with a change of the mindset. My name is Gil Fuller, and I am a recovering conventional farmer. Regenerative agriculture to me is about regenerating communities, earthworm communities, soil community, rural communities, urban communities. Animals are just an absolute key component, and really a must to have on any farm. When you look at beef grown in a CAFO system today under industrial agriculture, yeah, that's a dangerous model that is adding methane. But when you're looking at a pasture-based system with cows doing rotational grazing, we're actually storing carbon, we're a carbon sink. When I'm farming and making day-to-day decisions, it's all done with the soil in mind. That's the first step. When we're developing a grazing plan now, or when we're planting cover crops or anything, it's, you know, are we going to be hurting the soil today or helping it, and how much? This isn't just about planting a few cover crops to help put some water in the Ogallala aquifer, or cut down your pesticide use by 10% or 20%. This is a total paradigm shift to a more regional food system, a regional food system that can offset food insecurities, increase farmer resilience, and it's also going to mean much more nutrient-dense food that is grown in the region that you live. I farm because it's the greatest job on earth. You know, I've been blessed with stewarding a little piece of creation. It is my job to make sure it's, you know, cared for and in better shape when I leave it. I don't view myself as an owner of the land, I'm just renting it for my future.
And I guess we close with a closing song, and it's Love Be With You.
I just wanted to add that the Easter service starts at 10.
Oh,
not
that's
at
right.
9:30.
Oh, good.
One service, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, one service at 10
I
o'clock.
should have put that in the,
Yeah.
oh well. I'll send out a blast.
Well, we have another
Yeah, we got 2 weeks in.
Please stand.
Oh, God.
Please stand.
Catholics again.
I was Catholic too. Born and raised.
All together, hand in hand, see the light, we take a stand. We are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. And share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. Make it flow to you. Let joy renew you until we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you. All together, hand in hand, see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. Make it flow to you. Let joy renew you until we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you till we meet again. Love be with you.
Thank you for joining us today. Have a beautiful Sunday. Join us for lunch if you'd like.